convention of speakers, and it's become a signature event over the last 5 or 6 years. And the person who runs them is a woman by the name of Kim Kimball, who back when we were in the office, she was 2 cubes over from me. So I would always overhear her organizing it and everything else. And one of the things they ordered for the Babson Connect Worldwide Madrid in 2018 were these promotional beavers. And here's one right here. You can see it says Babson on the front, and on the back it says Madrid 2018. So these little squeezy exercise beavers. And so we had so they were sent to Madrid to be handed out at this event, but Spanish customs held them up and demanded some exorbitant sum to release them, and Kim said, I'm not going to pay that. So they got shipped back to Babson, but meanwhile, of course, they were branded for the event, Madrid 2018. So they've been sitting in a box in Kim's cube, and therefore in my office, in a sense, because we're all in a big room, for almost 2 years now. And we've been giving them out a couple times for things, but we hadn't gotten rid of a lot of them. But so they were sitting here. So on January 2nd of this year, I decided that I was going to, as a sort of conceptual art project to keep myself entertained, I was going to put one beaver out on this, basically this cabinet we have at the entrance to our room. Every day. So the first, January 2nd, there was one beaver. January 3rd, there was two beavers. I just keep doing it till I ran out of beavers. There's the box of beavers from Kim's cube. But, so I was putting out one a day. And then when we got up to larger numbers, we started adding a little bit more choreography. You see that? That's the number 20 spelled out in beavers. Then we got a little bit more elaborate. And a circle with a little pyramid of beavers in the middle there. And my favorite was, this is March 3rd, which was primary election day here in Massachusetts. And this was assisted by some of my colleagues, Taylor Johnson and Sarah Carpenter. And Taylor made the little ballot box on the right end. You see the beavers coming in. They're going to the desk to register to vote. Or to, check in, and then we got the little voting booths and come out. So in any case, that was the sort of thing we were doing at, when we were in Babson College on the top of this, desktop. That's a debate. And then people, the world changed, as you know. So here, this is one of the last ones we did. It's hard to read, but this actually says, use on the black part and then soap on the white part. That was sort of the coming of the pandemic. And people always ask me, well, what are you going to do about the beavers when we go remote? And I said, oh, well, I'll bring them with me. So, for continuity of business operations. So that's what I did. So my original plan, now we can go back to the regular. My original plan was just to put out a different beaver a day. Like I had been doing at work. So here we are, there's a view of the parking lot. So this is March 17th, the first day I was completely remote. And then second one is, these are 2 beavers socially distancing. This is number 3, so 3 beavers. So this is when you notice that not everybody is social distancing. So he's sort of looking a little askance at his neighbors there. And then 4, since I had my son Andrew's toys here, I just added some, for episode 4, I just added episode 4, A New Hope, and had a little lightsaber battle between the beavers. And this is sort of where it started. And then a friend of mine from high school, Jennifer Reyes, actually suggested, she said, oh, you should have the beavers travel and use your computer as a green screen. And I was like, oh, well, that's a cool idea. So this is the first thing I did. I just thought of an exotic locale, and I said, well, I didn't want to just have them, be, in this location without a purpose, so I thought I would recreate an iconic scene, and this is Omar Sharif's dramatic entrance on horseback in Lawrence of Arabia. So I made little, little headdresses for all the beavers using bread ties and Kleenex, which of course is a valuable commodity in a pandemic. But nonetheless, I was willing to sacrifice for my art.
It's worth it.
Yes. So then I started, well, what other films could I do? And so this is, we need a bigger boat. So this was Jaws, and that's, Quint getting taken off. At this point, I'm still trying to have the right number of beavers in there. But I would soon abandon it because I don't have enough beavers. Once it became clear I was going to be around for a long time doing this, I ran out of beavers. And I have to say, my first impulse in doing this was really try to, it was almost to be absurd in how, ridiculously primitive the evocation of these scenes are. But I got more ambitious as I went along. This is where I learned the wonders of black and white, which hides a lot of errors on the part of the cinematographer here, because if you notice all the way on the left, you can actually see my finger on the back of Godzilla here. But it's much less apparent in black and white than it was in color. But this, of course, my son's a big Godzilla fan, so he had the stuffed Godzilla, and I put Tokyo in the background. And when I have one of these crowd scenes, I always have one beaver who's not with the program facing the wrong way. I don't know why. So this, of course, is the airport scene from Casablanca. And I had a little quote, which I don't have here, but, it was the Humphrey Bogart, anyone can see that the problems of two beavers don't mean a lot in this in this world. And, but we'll always have Madrid, especially because it's printed on our butts. So that's why it was important to be able to see that. So, and this is where I started getting really ambitious, because this is Citizen Kane, of course. And this took a surprisingly long time to do, the poster in the back, because I had to, Photoshop the beaver. And mostly these, I do them live in front of my computer screen. But this one involved a little bit of Photoshop to get the beaver in there, and with Citizen Kane's running for it. And here's a behind the scenes one. You can see how messy my living room is, but this is the behind the scenes setting up the Citizen Kane shot there. And I took this because one of my coworkers, I originally started sending these photos out to just a limited number of my closer friends among my coworkers. And more people were interested in it, so I kept expanding the list. And now I just send it out to my whole department every day. So, and people have gotten to looking forward to the new beaver, and I also share it as my cover photo on Facebook. But this desk, I actually this is a very much pandemic art, because I bought that desk when I found out it was going to be remote, and so I decided I wanted a separate workplace. I didn't want to take over my home office, so I have a separate workplace, which of course is now my beaver studio. So. So there we go, the mummy. This is, again, just get a background of an Egyptian tomb, and I sacrifice more Kleenex. I have a paper cutter, so I just use them to cut strips and wrap up the mummy. This was surprisingly hard to do, the birds. I took like 10 minutes or not 10 minutes, longer than that, probably like an hour to get this right. So I had one beaver, because of course Tippi Hedren in the actual movie is just one person with, she's sitting on the bench and all the birds arrive on the playground equipment in the background. But it didn't look right, so then I had two beavers, and I decided to look better if I put all the beavers in, so I just put a bunch of beavers in. And again, there's the beaver on the left facing the wrong way. That's taken in done in by the birds. This was the found art in, I went looking around the condo for what toys my son had, and he had a bath toy of the orca, so of course Free Willy. And this I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to suspend the the whale until it occurred to me it doesn't weigh very much, so I just put Scotch tape on the back and taped it to the computer monitor. So that has been one of my go-to, tricks in since. This is one of the two movies I actually have not seen. This a friend of mine, one of my coworkers, suggested the Blair Witch Project. So this is the Blair Beaver Project. So this was early in the pandemic, and it was, I wasn't even going out at all. So I actually went out to the parking lot to take this shot. And, nobody asked me what I was doing in the dark with my phone and a beaver taking pictures. But I guess they, if you look crazy, people will give you a little distance. This was one of my colleagues who actually is from Framingham as well, Laura Santacandro. I was going to put a different photo on. This was for a Friday. She says, no, you can't have a horror movie for a Friday. You got to have something uplifting like Sound of Music. So I did this one for her. And this is, again, behind the scenes. Borrowed one of Andrew's cars to get her sort of tipped a little bit so she looks like she's going to sing, and that's just, shows you the regular computer in the background. This is the one I wanted to put on this Friday. This is the one I'm really proud of. I did Psycho. I did it. That's my kitchen sink and a hefty bag, and I had like the sink, on the spray function, and I borrowed yarn from my sister to make the little wig for Norman here, being his mother, and that is a lightsaber hilt, which is the knife.
Oh, that's great.
So this is, again, I was thinking cinematic again. So the Last Emperor, that's a bow tie. The red part's a bow tie, and that's a sacrifice sock as the rest of his headdress. This, I actually went on location to a golf club. And I stuck on, again, the golf clubs are all closed, and utilized for the Caddyshack tribute here.
That's great.
So this one took a while, and I let my plate of spaghetti get cold while I was shooting this. That, again, another sacrifice I've made for my art. But the Lady and the Tramp spaghetti scene. I think my sister suggested this idea.
Brilliant.
This is not a movie, but it was Easter, so that was my Easter themed. But you can see he's standing on a box of insect cards. That was my son. This one I have to say I'm pretty proud of. Just the end of Planet of the Apes with the horse and this like, you monsters, you blew it up. Of course, it was a little too close to the bone during a pandemic. People were a little. It's funny. You can tell the difference between the sort of random selection of my coworkers, who are probably represent a more broad cross-section of society, than my friends. My friends tend to love the weird ones, but the coworkers tend to like the sort of more wholesome ones. There you go. And then, of course, I'm the king of the world. And this I had to Photoshop out Jack and Kate Winslet. So, and I did rather a crude job. I have to say, a lot of this I do on my phone. I do the, I do the cropping and stuff on my phone. And when it gets larger, I have to sometimes try to fix things. That's my son's bathtub guard. You put it over the faucet so he doesn't hit his head when he's taking a bath. But again, another found object for Moby Dick. This is, I try not to do too many that are just Photoshop. But this one I had to do. I can't remember. I think Paul Schrader suggested this, The Shining. So here is BB. And of course, Wizard of Oz, another wholesome Friday one. And this took a while. This actually was the first one I used after my friend Kara Lawrence gave me a box of basically it was like craft supplies. And so I went through here. Somebody suggested that the tin beaver looks a little bit like a baked potato, but all subject to interpretation. This reveals why I didn't put a cap on the tin beaver, because he looked like a Klansman. So, so that's why I took. And you can also see I used a Dave Clark 5 record with a yellow inner sleeve for the Yellow Brick Road. So, of course, there's Patriots Day, the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere. The second Patriots Day theme, of course, a very short-lived lead for the Beavers in the Boston Marathon. This one I did because my vice president of my department wanted a Babson-themed one for one Babson Day. This is actually a screen background which the college provided. It's the new park at the center of Babson College's campus, and there's a statue of Roger Babson there, but I have replaced it with Peterson. So, and actually, I'm quite fond of this guy. I just took, I think they were address labels, sticky address labels, sort of the margin of them, and just added the mustache and goatee.
And you can join once you register. They send you an email.
And this is American Beaver. Again, with craft supplies supplied by Kara. But again, this one was less popular with my coworkers, but very popular with friends. This is the other movie I actually have never seen, which is Cool Runnings. This was surprisingly easy to do. But this is actually, the bobsled is actually a box for a record brush that Lynn Damianos dropped off to me when we did our Framingham Front Steps project photo shoot. But I noticed it was just the right size to stick 3 beavers in. And this, you can see the technique I used for putting the beavers in there. And I taped the box to a kitchen spoon and just held it in front of the monitor to get at the right angle. So this was, of course, Harold Lloyd's classic from 1923, Safety Last. And it confused some people because they said, well, in the movie, it's just Harold Lloyd. And they said, well, it looked better with 2 beavers. It's artistic license. I try to be true to the original, but, it looked better with 2 beavers. Patton. Although I realized after I did it, that's a 50-star flag. I should have a 48-star flag, so sorry about that. Mary Poppins, this was also suggested to me. This actually took a while to sort of craft her little carpet bag here. Most of the stuff came from Kara, the ribbon and the drink umbrella.
Great.
This was one that Andrew wanted because when he was really into insects, his favorite movie was Them. And he had a large ant toy, but it wasn't quite large enough, so I had to play with the perspective and where I put the camera relative. And again, there's the one beaver who's not with the program. And of course, E.T. classic, and my son's Lego bicyclist. That was it's amazing. The ones that are really easy sometimes are the best ones. This I did almost to be deliberately obscure. This is Streetcar Named Desire, the classic scene. It was Stella. Of course, North by Northwest, which was suggested by my friend Nancy Prince. This one I came up with all on my own. This is Raging Bull or Raging Beaver, but actually the boxing ring is made out of a molecular model kit that Kara also gave to me, and I have no idea how to design molecules, but I noticed that they were could use for create the boxing ring. Of course, Saturday Night Beaver. Mystery Science Theater 3000, that was also suggested to me by a coworker. And I have to say, I've done like 50 plus of these now, so this is what I've been planning for a long time. I actually had to go out and get electrical tape for a Groucho there. The Marx Brothers, the 3 Marx Brothers. I left Zeppo out of it, and Gummo. Dirty Dancing, another popular favorite. You just stick one beaver on top of the other's head. Snow White. Another Feel Good Friday. Snow White and the Seven Beavers. This was suggested by my sister. Knives Out. So, but I like the beaver being lectured by the detective here,
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig. Yes, he doesn't look too worried. And here I branched out into the legitimate theater with Julius Caesar, William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, or Julius Beaver, but et tu, BB. Oops. Twilight Zone. This is another straight. I almost feel like I'm cheating if I do Photoshop, but some of it's the only way you can get it.
Oh, that's good.
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Well, I had a friend complain I didn't do war paint. I was like, well, I did look for see if I had any Hershey's chocolate syrup, but I didn't. So this one I'd been planning on doing almost from the beginning. It's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It was a movie, the Disney movie, which I loved as a kid. And Andrew, of course, had a plush squid toys, but that came out really well. And here's another behind the scenes example, and you can see Mary Poppins is still standing beside my screen. So that's the artist studio. This was suggested by Nancy Prince as well, which is the Seventh Seal. Which so this is the scene where the knight, of course, is playing chess with death, who in this case is a beaver. But that was too absurd not to do. So my son Andrew came up with this one all on his own.
I love that one.
Jurassic Park, the kitchen scene. This is suggested to me as well. This is Mission Impossible. And this was Friday, so this is the last one I've done. So this is, of course, Leave It to Beaver, which L.J. Carroll suggested to me quite some time ago and complained I hadn't done it, so I finally did it. But that's the work, and now I just got to figure out how to keep it going for however long we're still on the working remotely. Definitely, people have told me it's definitely a highlight of their day. They look forward to what new situation the Madrid Beavers find themselves in. So people have been giving me suggestions, which has been great because I definitely would have run out of my own ideas. Although once they do suggest something, often that'll spark some ideas. But it's been a lot of fun, and people seem to enjoy it. Do we have any other questions? Anybody else? Janelle, are you back?
I'm back. Yes.
Oh, yes. Now I can hear you.
It cut me out. I quickly shot a text to Lynn because I know she's in here too in case it did it again. My question, I think my question got booted, but it was really just how long you're spending doing this playing, because I think it's great.
Some of them take some nights I'll do like 3 at a time, and I'll just knock them off. And then some nights, the Wizard of Oz, there's a lot of costuming. And then, Citizen Kane doing the beaver poster and getting it right took a long time. And sometimes, I try things and it doesn't work. But I could spend an hour on one. And so I probably would not be doing this if it were not a pandemic, so I wouldn't have the time to do it. But once you start doing it, you really sort of get committed to doing it. But it is a volume business, so I try not to spend too long on it.
What are some of the ones that you tried that didn't work that we haven't seen?
The only one there are a bunch that I have on my list that I haven't actually figured out how to do, that people have suggested. The one that I've actually did shoot and never redid was keep wanting to do the Godfather scene with the horse's head, and so I actually borrowed 2 stuffed horses from Jim Parr to try to do them. I haven't tried it with the second one, but the first one, the horse's head was way too big compared to the beaver, and even putting the beaver up close and the horse's head back. So I've been playing with that for a long time. So, but most of the other ones are just ones that people have suggested or I've come up with, and then I just can't think of how to shoot it, because it has to be it has to be iconic enough, and that people will get it. There's certain elements that are key, and that's one of the things I think about is just visually. What information people need visually to do it. So maybe we should wrap it up. But anyway, if anybody, art centers are, having a tough time with it these days. So anybody who hasn't made a donation, a bunch of people have made donations. I would encourage you to go ahead and make a donation to ātac. And I guess that's it. Do you want to close, Lynn?
Yes, apparently Janelle is having technical difficulties, and she just asked me to say thank you so much, Kevin. I'm really glad that you decided to do this. It's been fabulous. It's been something that I look forward to every time I log onto my computer during this challenging time. And I really appreciate you sharing this with the world and with us today. Thank you.
Well, it's a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Thank you for everyone for coming.
Yes, and check back at atac160.org for upcoming tours. And if you'd like to make a donation, that would be appreciated as well. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Ready?
Kevin.
Keep the beavers coming.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.